Good morning. This is our second Wednesday. If we are still doing online learning, then this would be your lesson. I'm going to leave it as one page like this, but I will talk about what's on the page. These 4 problems here will be the ones I do as part of the lesson. Then there will be a pause, and you should work these 4, start the video again after pausing it, and then you can see if everything works out well for you. Okay, here we go. All right, so I wrote in here that first thing is first. When we're doing distribution of variables, first thing is first. Remember that a variable is a letter that can change values within an equation or a function, like y equals 3x, where y and x are both variables, and you can put a value in for either one of those and solve for the other variable. We'll be doing that kind of problem solution in a couple weeks. Distribution is a difficult concept at first, so when we try to distribute a variable, it gets a little more difficult. The primary way students of your age learn algebraic concepts is through practice and memorization. So please be taking the time to work through some of this stuff and work on memorizing some of these things, okay? It's not that people that can do math are necessarily better at math than anyone else. It's just that they actually take a little bit of time and commit these little concepts to memory, and then math becomes really easy for them. Okay, so I'm going to enlarge the screen, and we're going to work on a couple problems one problem at a time here. Notice that I have a variable times two other terms. This is a monomial, mono as in one term. This is a binomial because it has 2 terms. By the way, if you see 2x, this is a monomial. It's a monomial because as soon as we put a number in for x, we get a number. And therefore, it's a singular term. This is a monomial, okay? So keep that in mind. When you have plus and minus signs, you create multiple terms. And this is a binomial. We'll be multiplying a monomial by a binomial, which is nothing more than traditional distribution that you guys have learned. It just has another variable in it. So we're going to take x times this first x, and then we're going to take that x again, which is a positive x, and multiply it times that positive 3. You'll recall that x times x is x squared. X times 3 is nothing more than 3x, and we've distributed a variable. Okay, let's look at another one. Here we have y's. Okay, nothing more than taking the y on the outside and multiplying times the y on the inside, and then taking the y on the outside, which is a positive y, and multiplying by the negative 7. Notice I've kept the y outside positive 2 times, and this y stayed positive, but the 7 was negative. Don't lose the negative. It happens a lot in distribution. Y times y, y squared. Y times negative 7. So positive times a negative gives us a negative. And 7 times y is 7y. And we're done. Let's move to another one. This one has a negative x outside. Okay, and it's no different than, remember, a negative times a positive is a negative, and a negative times a positive is a negative. When we're done here, we'll have 2 terms that are both negative. Okay, we're going to take the negative x and multiply it times a positive x. And then we're going to take the negative x again and multiply it times a positive 4. A negative times a negative times a positive gives us a negative. X times x is x squared. A negative times a positive gives us a negative. 4 times x is 4x, and we are done. Okay, last one to practice is this one. We're going to take a negative y, and we're going to multiply it times the first term inside, which is positive y. But this time we're going to take the negative y, see the negative y, and we're going to multiply it times the term inside, which is a negative 3. So pay attention. Negative times positive is a negative. Y times y is y squared. But a negative times a negative makes a positive, and 3 times y is 3y. And there we are done. Okay? Now, there is a short rule. I'm going to show you real quick right here. If you're multiplying one term outside by two terms inside, and we do distribution, notice we get 1 times 1 plus 1 times 2. Notice we get 2 items here when we're done. If you will take the number of terms outside, in this case 1, and multiply it by the number of terms inside, which is 2, after you're done with distribution, 1 times 2 is 2. And 2 is how many terms you should have before you start combining items. I'll show you that one more time, and I'll show you it with a, we've done binomials times binomials before. I'm sorry, that's an x. Okay. Here is 2 terms times here is 2 terms. 2 times 2 is 4. Now, after we do our double distribution, if we do it properly, we will have 4 terms. So this isn't anything like we're doing today. I'm just showing you how this works. X times x, x squared, x times 4, plus 4x, 2 times x, plus 2x, and then 2 times 4 is plus 8. Notice, after the initial distribution, I have 4 terms, which is what we figured we would have when we multiply how many terms in the polynomial times how many terms in the polynomial will tell us how many total terms we should have after distribution. And notice we would combine these, so that's after distribution and before combining terms. Okay, I'm gonna pause for 30 seconds here, and then this is where you should pause the video. You should try to work these bottom 4 problems on your own. In a couple seconds, I'm going to start talking again and solving these problems just fairly quickly with you, and then that'll be your lesson for today. Okay, here we go. If you didn't pause to work the problems, feel free to pause now. Otherwise, I'm going to start solving. Notice I have an m that is positive times an m that is positive. And then I have an m that is positive times a negative 1. M times m is m squared. Positive times negative gives me a negative. 1 times m is just m. And we're done. Pretty simple there. Let's move along. Okay. I have z times z here. Both are positive. Plus z times 4. And both of those are positive. See, positive here, everything's positive. Z times z is z squared. Plus z times 4 is 4z. And we're done. Good. Moving along. Notice I have a negative and a negative and a negative. There's a lot of negatives. So you just got to organize your math. And this becomes pretty simple. I'm going to take this negative t times a negative t. And then I'm going to take the negative t again. This times negative 2. Negative times negative creates a positive. And t times t is t squared. I don't have to write the first positive of an equation. Negative times negative again makes a positive. Here I've got to write the positive. 2 times t is 2t. Good. Last one. I've got negative p times positive p. And then negative p times positive 9. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Negative times positive is a negative. P times p is p squared. Negative times positive is negative. P times 9 is 9p. And we are done. I hope you're getting some valuable instruction here. Remember, each day, 10:30 and 2:30, you can go into your Google Classroom, click on Classwork. You can then click on the calendar, and in your calendar will be a link for a class meeting or a Hangout Meets or whatever it's called by your teacher. You click on that, and then you can come in and we can be face-to-face and we can ask questions, answer questions, or if you have anything else you need to chat with, that's where I will be. There will be rules for that when we get into the Hangouts, and I will send that out. You will have that sent out by your teacher in an email. Hope you have a great day.